Hello, I'm so glad you're here. It is Saturday, January 20th. This is PK Pastor Kevin, your friendly neighborhood pastor, coming at you on this wonderful day in my humble abode. Welcome to Spiritual Awakenings. This video is titled, Your Story is Still Being Written. Trust the Author. I know that sometimes you try to get a new job, go on job interviews, or achieve a goal, a New Year's resolution, or you may be wanting to lose some weight or recover after surgery, get physical therapy, or you may have your own business and you want to get more customers in and increase revenue. Or you may want your boss to hire more workers and take some load off of you. As long as you're praying and staying in faith, God will get you to where you need to be in life. Most of us are familiar with the story of the Exodus, God leading Moses and the Israelites through the Red Sea out of Egypt. But I want to read the chapter right before that. That story is not as dramatic or well known, but still equally important. The story of the Exodus is in Exodus chapter 14. But take a look at Exodus 13, verses 17 and 18. It says that when Pharaoh finally let the people go, God did not lead them along the main road that runs through Philistine territory, even though that was the shortest route to the promised land. God said, if the people are faced with a battle, they might change their minds and return to Egypt. So God led them in a roundabout way through the wilderness toward the Red Sea. So God did not lead the Israelites through the road that would have been the shortest distance to the promised land. But God led them in a longer way, a roundabout way through the wilderness. When that happened, I imagine the Israelites might have said, Moses, why are we going this way? What is God doing? What's going on? Why don't we go the shorter distance, the shorter route? Doesn't that make more sense, Moses? But if the Israelites would have gone the shortest way to the promised land, the Israelites would have faced a fight, a battle with the Philistines. And the Israelites might have gotten scared, changed their minds, and ran back to Egypt. Ran back to slavery, actually. So God, in his wisdom, led the Israelites to the promised land, but the longer way, and not the shorter way through the Philistine territory. Does that make sense? See, God has good reasons for what he does in our lives. God has good reasons for a relationship ending, or your time at a job, a company, a business coming to an end. God has good reasons for where he takes us in life, and who we meet, and what door closes, and what door opens. But back then, I'll bet many of the Israelites questioned this. Why can't we take the shorter way? It'd be quicker. Why are we going the longer way, the roundabout way? God, I don't understand what's going on. Have you ever thought to yourself or said to God, God, I don't understand what's happening in my life. I've been praying, but why am I going the longer way? It's taking longer, God. I don't understand. Can you relate? I know I can. We don't always know why some things take longer than expected. I wish they didn't for you. I really wish they didn't. But we have to trust God's guidance when we don't understand. We have to trust God's heart when we don't see his hand in our lives. When you're trying to get a new job, you're going on job interviews, or you want to achieve some goal, or recover after surgery, or get counseling, healing from emotional trauma, and things take longer than expected. I know it's frustrating, but as long as you're praying and keeping an open mind, open heart, and taking practical steps that you can take, God will get you to where you need to be. You will reach your destination in time. But we want things to happen now. I get it. So did the first Christians. In Acts chapter 1, after the resurrection of Jesus, after Easter, in Acts 1 verse 6, it says that when the apostles were with Jesus, they kept asking him, "Lord, has the time come for you to free Israel and restore the kingdom?" Because, as you may know, the expectation of the Messiah was that the Messiah would free Israel from the Roman occupation and drive the Roman government out of the land and establish Israel once again as a free, independent nation state, which later on did happen. But they kept asking him, when's it going to happen? When's it going to happen? How about now? Is it now, Lord? It's like going on a vacation, in a car ride, road trip. And the parents were in the front seat and the kids in the back seat. I've been there. Mom, Dad, how long will it be? Are we there yet? How long will it be, Mom? Are we there yet? If you're mom and dad, you're tired of hearing it. If you're the kids in the back seat, you're waiting, you're expecting, you're getting impatient. And God understands. In Acts 1, verse 7, he replied, "The Father alone has the authority to set those dates and times, and they are not for you to know." And that's hard. But he told them they are not for you to know. There's no crystal ball, no actual crystal ball. I wish you had one, but there isn't one. But in verse 8, he said, "You will receive power when the Holy Spirit comes upon you." So to paraphrase, he was saying, you don't get to know when it's going to happen, but you'll have the power to endure it. You'll have the power of the Holy Spirit to tap into, to endure it and make it. You're going to make it, you just don't know when. And waiting is hard, man. I get it. When I was in seminary, graduate school, many of my fellow seminary friends and I applied for ordination. And most of them got approved, except for me. So that year, I got to watch many of my seminary friends get ordained without me. That was hard to take. I did not understand why. 2 years later, when I got ready to graduate, I was ordained. But I don't understand why it took longer for me, despite the explanations that I was given at the time. But I was learning to trust God in the waiting period. And I'm still learning. I'm still learning to have faith when things take longer and I become impatient. When that happens for you, that's when you have to say, "Oh, well, God, I trust you." Say it with me. "Oh, well, God, I trust you." I've been going on dates and I'm still single and I haven't met the right one. God, but I trust you. I've been having job interview after job interview. So far, I'm getting rejections. Oh, well, God, I trust you. I'm in counseling for weeks and months. I'm still healing. Oh, well, God, I trust you. You know what? You can trust God and still get impatient. You can trust God, trust the process, and still get angry, resentful for how long some things take. In Luke chapter 9, it says that Jesus resolutely set out for Jerusalem. And he sent messengers on ahead who went into a Samaritan village to get things ready for him. You see, Jesus, and his disciples were on their way to Jerusalem, and it seems that the quickest way to get there was through this one village. But the people there did not welcome him, it says, because he was heading for Jerusalem. Because Samaritans back in those days did not like Jews or Jerusalem, and they were all Jews. So, verse 54, when the disciples James and John saw this, they asked, "Lord, do you want us to call fire down from heaven to destroy them?" That's a little extreme, isn't it? Yeah, they were talking like terrorists. That was pretty extreme. But the disciples were frustrated. They were angry. They were impatient. They did not understand not being welcomed into this one village. But Jesus, verse 55, turned and rebuked them. It does not say in Luke chapter 9 that Jesus rebuked the Samaritans who did not welcome him. I mean, think about that. These Samaritans in this one village, they were literally rejecting Jesus. And he didn't threaten them with hellfire and brimstone. The disciples wanted to bring down fire upon them. But Jesus did not rebuke the ones who were rejecting him. He rebuked his disciples, saying, no, guys, no. And verse 56 simply says, then he and his disciples went to another village. They had made it to their destination. They eventually arrived in Jerusalem, but they probably took the longer way to get there, the roundabout way to get there. But Jesus kept his cool when he was rejected. He kept his cool when he had that delay, and he went on his way. And one of the best ways for you to keep your cool when you have setbacks and things take longer than expected and you get impatient and bitter and resentful, when's it going to happen, is to say, oh, well, God, I trust you. Oh, well, God, didn't work out, but I'll trust you. I didn't get that job. These dates with this guy are going nowhere, or girl, whatever. I'm dating, it's not going anywhere. But God, I trust in you. You know, I have many friends who got married at age 20, 23, 24, 25. I have friends who got married at 26, 27. I got married at 28. My wife was 30 at the time. 28 and 30. Oh well. I spent more years waiting and praying and going on dates and things not going anywhere with certain girls. But, oh well. During that time in my 20s, I had to learn to trust God. Trust the process, that I would get there. Eventually, it would all work out. I had to wait. It was hard. But my story was not yet written. I had to trust the author. Who is the author? It's Jesus. Whenever you say, oh God, okay, God, I surrender to you. I follow your leading. I trust you, God. It's like you're giving him the pen. You're giving him permission to write your story. And when that happens, you can rest assured that God will get you to where you need to be. In Matthew chapter 20, Christ told the parable of the vineyard, in which a landowner, who represents God, hired vineyard workers. He hired vineyard workers at 9 in the morning, also at noon, then also at 5 o'clock. Matthew 20, verses 8 through 14 says, that evening he told the foreman to call the workers in and pay them, beginning with the last workers first. When those hired at 5 o'clock were paid, Each received a full day's wage. When those hired first came to get their pay, they assumed they would receive more. But they too were paid a day's wage. When they received their pay, they protested to the owner. Those people worked only 1 hour, and yet you paid them just as much as you paid us, who worked all day in the scorching heat. Or today would be the frozen tundra, the ice cold. Verse 13. The landowner answered him, "Friend, I haven't been unfair. Didn't you agree to work all day for the usual wage? Take your money and go. I wanted to pay this last worker the same as you." This parable represents those who come to know the Lord earlier in life, those who get saved later in life, in their 30s or 40s or 50s, and then those who come to Christ later in life, maybe in their 60s or 70s or later. We don't know exactly why some people take longer to come to Christ or come back to Christ. Why not sooner for some people? We don't know. But if you're hoping and praying for someone to get right with God or come back to God, you can trust that even though it's taking longer, rest assured that those who come to the Lord later are just as saved as the rest of us, as those who became a Christian earlier in life. They are just as saved. And that bothers some people, as this story shows. But as the landowner said, "Friend, I haven't been unfair." Even if someone prays a sincere prayer on their deathbed, and the key word is sincere, they are saved, heaven-bound, because it's by His grace that we're saved, through faith, not by works, lest anyone should boast. Ephesians 2, verse 8. So what about your life? You may be looking for a new job or a career advancement, and each job interview ends up with a rejection. Or you may be going on dates, lots of dates, and still not find the one. And your clock is ticking and you're wondering when. How long will it be? Or you may be trying to reach a goal, lose some weight, become healthier, become emotionally healthier through counseling or therapy. Or perhaps you're waiting for your body to heal after surgery. Or perhaps you're in menopause and you're trying different things to help yourself and nothing is really happening for you. You're still really descending into an emotional pit. Or perhaps you're waiting for your boss to hire more workers to take some of the load off of you. Or again, perhaps you have your own business and you're wanting to increase your business, increase the customers, have more customers, more revenue. And you might get tired. You might be discouraged and wondering, God, what's going on? God, I've prayed. God, are you still there? God, why is it taking so long? Lord, when's it going to happen? If that's you, if you can relate to any of that, God will get you to where you need to be. It's going to happen for you. It happened for the Israelites. It happened for Jesus. It happened for me. I got married at 28. Many people I know got married at 23, 25, 26. Oh well. I got ordained 2 years later, but I got ordained. And I've been the pastor of my current church for 17 years. I love it. Took me a while, but I love it. So God has more in store for 2024, definitely. It may take longer for you to achieve your goal, but you'll get there. Keep your faith. Keep an open mind, open heart. Take practical steps. Do what you can do, humanly possible, and then God will do his part, what is impossible. And keep saying, "Oh well, God, I trust you." Say it with me. "Oh well, God, I trust you." Thank you for watching. If you're not one of my awesome subscribers, go ahead and smash that subscribe button and like this video. If you have some feedback, I want to hear from you. Please leave a comment or a question or a prayer request down below in the comment section. I will see you next week. Until then, keep the faith, stay warm, and love your life.